Ankit.
Hey Dom, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Nice to have you on here with us.
Oh, thank you. I'm very grateful you thought about me. So happy to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, you know the industry, and I know you've got some pretty interesting management tools that I actually got to see the other day, and I thought, what a great way to introduce that really important subject to the community here, which is the cabinet makers, architectural woodworkers, furniture makers around the world who listen to this podcast or watch the video.
Right. Yeah. I'm surprised you found that interesting because for us, it's just day-to-day ops, right? But you know what? After you said that, I realized it's pretty unique. I've never seen it in other businesses of our kind.
Right.
And I know most of our customers don't do it. So, yeah.
Yeah. Well, before we get into it, I'll give just a little preamble as to how I happen to be at your office for that internal operations meeting, and then we'll talk a little bit about what that meeting was. And the goal here is we want to educate the community of architectural woodworkers and cabinet makers and kitchen and bath closet, everybody that we know and deal with, why you have that specific management tool and what value that brings you as an owner, because you probably hear some of the same things that I do where people say, we already have too many meetings go on forever, nobody likes them, nothing gets accomplished. And your meeting, that format that you used, which I'll just tell everybody now is called the huddle. Big complicated word. The huddle.
I'm pretty sure I stole it from somewhere.
I know where you stole it from because I use the huddle all the time.
Yeah.
But it is an interesting tool. So let me give everybody here just a little bit of context and background.
Yep.
Can I do that for a second?
Sure. Yeah, that'd be great.
So I'm very fortunate to be in the same city as Ankit. And we are in this same industry, this general industry of woodworking, but we're also in a business group together called Entrepreneurs Organization. I would imagine some of the people listening are in EO as well. And EO has 160 chapters around the world, and it's people that, we run businesses as entrepreneurs, but we also study and make a habit of learning the best ways of doing things, I guess is the best way to talk about that. Right?
Yeah.
So I put a request out to the EO Vancouver community saying I needed to practice my TED Talk really badly. And thankfully you said I could come and practice on your poor team.
Well, we were excited to have you, Dominic. We do, we actually every week we have lunch and learns, and we usually play a TED Talk on TV.
Oh.
So, I mean, to have a real TED speaker come in and talk to us and give us a real TED Talk in front of us, it was fantastic. And yours was, especially, it was a very relevant topic for us that we all enjoyed. So,
yeah, thank you. Yeah. Well, and it was nice to speak to your group. And, the reason that I put that frantic request out to our group is because I had just spoken for my kids' school to all the teachers, and I blew it. The 15-minute talk that you saw at your office, I actually, for some reason, I got caught in a loop in my script, and I only did it for 5 minutes at my kid's school.
Oh, wow.
So anyways, well, this isn't really adding value to our listeners here, so I'll move off it. But it was funny. So thank you for having me in. And I guess if anybody wants to see the video, maybe we'll put it in the show notes, the link, or you can find it on YouTube. Actually, you guys have a link as well because one of the people at your office, your social media director, recorded it and posted it under the Kitply channel.
Correct. Yes.
Yeah, so there's lots of ways to find it. Hey, everybody listening, leave nice comments. I'm just kidding.
It's about family. I mean, it'd be really awkward if they left non-family oriented comments on there. Yeah.
No, you're right. You're right. Okay, so let's get into the topic today, Ankit. You use this tool called Huddle.
Yeah.
And you use it as a management tool, as the leader, as the owner of your company. Why do you have a meeting like this? What's the reason that you would even have this when we already have enough meetings and we're already busy enough day to day?
Yeah, so I've thought about that actually, Dominic, and we were thinking about eliminating it at some point. And then there was a time when we never did it. So I'll sort of transition from when we didn't have a huddle to the time where we had a huddle every single day to the time we decided to scale back on that huddle. And the reason we decided to do a huddle was because we felt that people didn't get a chance to connect with each other and to understand what everyone else is doing. So it really has allowed us to not only connect with each other in different departments, but also understand what goes on in the other person's life. So when in the huddle, someone brings up an issue that they're facing in that day, or a positive thing that's happened in their day, now the whole company can cherish that moment or actually provide support. So that's what, that's what we really get. We really get a lot of cultural involvement, engagement, and empathy built up for people within the organization for each other.
Interesting that you say empathy. So then do you view Huddle as a way to reinforce your culture, like who we are at KitPly?
Yeah, so I mean, there's different components to the Huddle. We'll get into that in a moment. But basically, at the end of every Huddle, though, we have what's called a gratefulness exercise. And what we do is everyone puts down one name on a small piece of paper, something like this, and folds it up, puts it in a pot like a fishbowl, and then whoever won it last time gets to pick a name. So we pick a name, and that person wins it, and then whoever's name is in there, also there's a core value attached to it. So we have 5 core values that we live by, and everyone in my company, including the warehouse people, can actually identify what those core values are. So we identify someone who's lived one of those core values in the last few days since the previous Huddle. And then in this moment, whoever wrote that name recognizes the person that they saw living that core value. So it
reinforces it.
Taking a moment, you're taking a moment to recognize and be grateful for another coworker for living one of your core values, and that I cannot express the strength of that for your culture and your engagement in your organization. Yeah.
It's such a powerful tool, and it's so simple. I mean, it's not a very long meeting. How long does your Huddle go for?
We have to, tame it a little bit. It's important that the reason we scaled back from being every single day to only twice a week is because we found it was dragging a bit. So our huddles are no longer than 15 minutes. That's the absolute max that they're allowed to be.
I love it. 15 minutes. And then just so we know, how many people are on your team so that other business owners listening know how fast you get through 15?
Yeah, so it's about 1 minute per person is what you're looking at.
1 minute per person.
1 minute per person.
And how many people on your team, Ankit?
There's 12 people right now.
I'll bet you right now people are listening. They're walking their dog, or they're on the airplane, and they're saying, what? You get 12 people through an effective meeting in 15 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, and it's powerful. I mean, you lived through it, Dominic.
I teach it. Yeah, I mean, I'm a big fan. That's why I walked in and I saw you guys doing it. I was like, oh, this is fantastic. It just works. But it works because it's not complicated.
It's not complicated, and there's actually good feelings associated with it for everybody in the organization. They walk out of it feeling good.
Yeah.
So it reinforces it every single time as well. So people are looking forward to going in there.
Yeah. You know what I just realized as we're talking about this is that I didn't give any context behind who's Ankit Sharma and what's KitPly. Because I know somebody out there listening right now is thinking, okay, Dominic's got some guy named Ankit. He runs a unicorn farm. They produce candy floss clouds. Sure, it works for that industry, but I know we did this in the wrong order, but who is Ankit and what is KitPly, if you don't mind?
Yeah. So, hi everyone.
Backwards, we did that. Yeah.
Let's get the sequence right for the huddle, but the podcast can go in a different format. My name is Ankit Sharma. I'm the president and founder and CEO and the everybody at KitPly Industries. I started this business about 8 years ago with my wife, and I had a passion for woodworking. Wasn't born into it, but I worked for somebody else, got an interesting concept that I felt that I could go after and build a niche on, and decided to run with it. It's been the hardest, the most difficult journey that I've undertaken in my life, but it's been also the most rewarding. I really, really enjoy being an entrepreneur, and on top of that, being in woodworking. I have a passion for wood. I think that wood as a natural substance is an amazing product that we should all be using more of, and using it sustainably and growing it sustainably, using it properly. And that's the reason I built my business. And it's a distribution company. We import or source 20,000 products from all over the world, and we have customers in all across Canada. We're looking at expanding internationally this year, and I just think that the number one thing that I care about most is our core values and our people, and that's who has built our business up. And I feel really grateful to be connected to people like Dominic and as part of the entrepreneurs organization. And I think that woodworkers in general, we need to be more involved with each other and building community. But that's a quick snippet of myself.
Quick snippet of, yeah, okay. So while you're on a woodworkers podcast, but I think it is important to say you're in this industry, and this huddle format can work even if you're not a unicorn farmer making, what did I say? Candy floss clouds or something. It really works. But sometimes people think it's a little bit out there, but it's I know that one of the things that you put together for me, and I saw it on the email that you sent in preparation, is you actually shared your huddle outline with us.
Right.
As a PDF. So what I'll do is I'll put that in the show notes.
Yep.
And we'll put it on the website so people can download. That's okay to share? Yeah.
Absolutely, please do. And I put some effort in. I'm sure I've sourced it from some places, but that is our version of it. It's not the version that everybody recommends doing, but that version works really well for us, and it's kind of evolved into that over time. Mm-hmm. It didn't start that way.
So let's go back here for a second, because you said this is the hardest journey you've had, and I know you run a very nice business there. Where would your business be if you didn't have a management tool like this to lead your company and get everybody on board? Where would your company be?
So, and I can very easily answer that question because I've been in a spot when I didn't have one of these. And that was when we were about a third of our size, both financially and in the number of people. And that was our biggest hurdle was to actually grow our team. We were struggling to add people, and when we would add somebody, we'd lose somebody else because of engagement. So I really don't think that we could have grown the way we have and preserved the culture of the organization. We've got 3 people coming on board within the next month alone.
You hired 3 net new people?
3 net new people just in the next month alone, and literally a year and a half ago, Dominic, we were 5 people. So we've gone from 5 people to 15, and everyone's still connected to each other. Everyone's positive about each other and takes a moment to be grateful to the other person. And I don't think I could have accomplished that, let aside the financial results, which have been really good for us and a result of all the hard work that we've done. But the positives and the culture of the organization is what I'm really proud of.
Yeah, I would. It's great to hear that, and I didn't realize you'd grown that fast. And for those people that don't know, the labor market right here on the West Coast right now is insanely tight. It's so hard to find people. The fact that you're bringing on 3 people is impressive, and I guess they can feel that when they walk into the company that this is the place they want to be.
Mm-hmm. I mean we do multiple levels of interviews, and parts of our questioning is just to make sure that they fit. That's the number one thing we look for. And so I guess we're already a little bit selective when we hire people. So they're more likely to stay with us. But at the same time, when we do onboard people, we do it in a very systematic way, including them in all the huddles. And so I think people get a flavor of our organization before they actually come on board.
Perfect. And then you onboard them, and it's part of the culture that this communication is what you do. It's I think all of us as business owners have heard that cash flow is like your organization breathing, right? We send out invoices, we get money in, and that keeps us alive. But the other thing behind that is communication is the same.
Right.
And quite often, I'm a business coach, right? So I look at these things all the time, and I visit lots of different companies in any given year. And quite often communication is the key issue. Just from let's say the front office to the manufacturing floor, there's broken communication. So things get done wrong or inefficiently, or there's mistakes, or there's deficiencies that just didn't have to be there, or double orders or not ordered on time. All of the things that we see because communication was missing. I'm going to go ahead.
One thing I'll say, the cash is king, 100%. And I believe that to the core of my heart. And you have to, as a startup entrepreneur, you can't live without cash. But I wonder if I can get someone, some of the listeners to ponder or viewers to ponder. Imagine you had a business that was good cash flow, positive cash flow, and it was, sustainable for you, but it was a horrible place to be. You hated being there. Your staff hated being there. You had ridiculous turnover. You were constantly hiring people and firing people and reprimanding them, or they were not getting along. What would that feel like?
Oh,
yes,
right.
cash is king, but I think culture, I can't remember who was it that it was, Peter Drucker or somebody said culture eats strategy for breakfast. and I would agree with that.
Yeah. Every company has its own culture, but it's up to the owner whether they're driving it or somebody else in their company is.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, many of our listeners, just like in companies I've had and maybe other ones you've had in the past, where I haven't been proactive about building the culture, what it means to be part of this company, where I've had maybe somebody in another position who's really social and outgoing in their own way, and the culture revolves around them, not around what the company needs to be. And it is always, for me, taking it off the track. I had one of my I used to have a residential painting company, had a couple of them. And I've had situations there where, the frat house guy comes and starts painting for me, and he's popular and he's good at bringing people together, better than me. And suddenly the company was just a place for him to socialize, and he was actually influencing things more than I was. And that was bad for cash. It was bad for clients. It was bad for operations. And I wish I'd known about tools that we use now all the time, like Huddle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I the other thing I would say, actually, if done right, a Huddle will actually improve productivity in your business. It'll shine light on people who are performing and who are not performing, who are connecting better with the other people, and so they'll end up either leaving themselves or picking up their game.
Right. So that's a good point. Do you have the document in front of you? Can we go through just the high points of what the agenda is for the Huddle? Because I think it's important for people to understand that the agenda is exactly the same for every Huddle meeting.
Yeah.
Right? So you don't have to come up with a new agenda.
Yeah, so we played with it for a while. We got it from a few different places. We looked at Scrum, we looked at scaling up, we looked at EOS and a few different ones, and everyone had their own version of it. And so this is what I would call the KIPFLY Huddle. It's not for everybody, but I think it works for the organization of our type. Uh-huh. And I actually don't honestly believe that this is for woodworking. If you're in woodworking, this would be a good one to follow, because it incorporates the entire organization, literally everybody from warehouse to front desk to sales to account receivable to finance, everybody in this huddle. This is not a huddle just for 2 or 3 salespeople. This is not just a huddle for the warehouse guys. This is
or just for executive management or something.
Exactly. This is the whole entire company. Yes, there is a cost associated with that when 15 minutes of the entire company, whatever dollar per hour that you're charging, and maybe make it half hour because they got to come prepared for this meeting and they leave with some other, so maybe, probably half hour to 45 minutes is what they're really needing to spend for this. I still believe this is an absolute must for woodworking organizations to implement. This is what's going to separate us from the unicorn candy floss companies that you're talking about, because we have to look attractive to people, and we have to preserve the culture of the organizations too. So this is our version of it. I've got it open in front of me.
Yeah, and just a reminder to people, this is available for download. Thanks for sharing it with us. I'll put it in the show notes. I'll have it on the website available, and thanks, Ankit. So walk us through the format. This is the agenda that follows every single meeting.
Yeah. So the first step is to make sure you have a huddle leader, and it starts with the very top. It has to be you, the CEO, the president, or general manager of the organization. Whoever's decided that they're going to implement a huddle, it has to be them. And you have to lead by example. You have to show up excited and super enthusiastic about this, because it's going to be hard, especially in the beginning. You're going to have people come in there and like, dude, literally, I just stopped what I was doing to come into this stupid conversation that you want me to have right now.
Yeah.
And what is the purpose of this? So that is going to happen. Can you see me?
I can. There's just a little bit of a glitch right now in the video, but we should be okay. Let's keep going.
Yeah. So literally that has to be addressed 100%. There's no alternative to that. If the leader of the organization comes in half-assing it, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
So be super excited. Acknowledge that, guys, this is going to feel awkward. This is going to feel uncomfortable. I'm not even sure how this is going to feel, but I've heard really good things about it from other people. So we're going to try it. And let's try it full-heartedly for a month and see what happens.
I like that.
So
that's how you introduced it to the team, is that, hey, we're going to try this and we're going to try it for a month and commit to it, so that they knew that even you were learning as you tried it.
Exactly. I mean, we're all entrepreneurs. We come back and even senior management come back and we want to implement new things. And, the staff's going, oh my God, here he is come back from another event that he wants us to, podcast that he learned something new on that he wants to implement. So it's important that we choose our, battles throughout things that we're going to implement. But this, if you're going to decide to do, and I highly recommend you do, come with super prepared, and excited for it. And pick a time that you're going to do it at. It's important that time is an ideal time in the sense that it's a little bit of a lull in your business in general. So you can, it allows you to increases the motivation in the organization a little bit, picks up people as well. So we have 2 huddles in a week. We used to do once every day, and we found that was just ridiculous. It was too much. There wasn't enough change in our organization. So we started to scale back to just twice a week, and it works really well.
Okay.
So
what days and what times do you choose?
So the specific times that we do it on is on Tuesdays at 2 p.m. and Fridays at 11:30 a.m. And it's 2 p.m. It's not 2:07. It's not 1:54. It has to be a specific time that it must happen every time. And some things will come up. Someone will be on a phone and you got to wait for them for a couple minutes. It's okay. But try and start at the very same time every single time. It's like, you brush your teeth at night, you brush your teeth in the morning after you wake up. So has to be in that format, and make sure it's valuable. People should come in and walk out of it thinking that they actually learned something from it. And then hopefully, positive, if the closest thing I can imagine is like a sports team huddle. And I put that example in here.
I love it. Yes, You're right.
Right. So, when I don't know how many people have played team sports, but when you go into a sports team huddle, everyone gets together and when they're done, it's like, yeah, we're going to make this happen. Like super excited, jacked after they finish the huddle. That has to happen as well.
Great. So let's go through the agenda here, because you've got some components. They always follow the same flow. How do you start it?
So, so the very first thing is obviously greeting. And you'll be surprised, Dom, how many people go into meetings and they don't greet each other, or they may randomly say hi to the person that's sitting next to them, but that's it.
Yeah.
You got it's got to be like family when you meet family and friends, and it's like you're excited to see them. So we always start with hi everyone. This is Tuesday, 11:30, and we're excited to be here. And we always begin with good news. So it's an important time to recognize whatever good is happening. So from the previous huddle to the next one, you basically want to share anything important about opportunities, meetings, travel, accomplishment, and it can be work related, non-work related, doesn't matter. But we just share good news, and that is a good portion, and not everyone shares, and some people will share more than others. So, and sometimes you'll find that nobody, like over first 2 or 3 huddles, nobody's sharing anything. It's okay. You can be the one that shares. And it's okay to prod in the beginning, like, hey, but didn't you win that? Didn't you get that account? Didn't you get that customer order?
Didn't you help that customer with that lost order, or didn't you match that color for some of our finishers here who are listening?
Yeah, or you got rid of that dead stock, or you were able to help this person, or anything that you think is in a positive way. It's important to get that out. So start with positive news. The next thing is a top task. Just basically top 2 or 3 things that everyone's working on, and just quickly revert it, have them make sure that people are ready for them before they come to the meeting. They're not thinking and then was like, oh yeah, I forgot what I was working on. No, have them ready in front of you. And, the way we do it is we do it on a Google Doc. It's prepared and everyone can see everyone's. So they're shared all the time. So you're not just coming up and making something up.
So Ankit, let me interrupt you for a sec, just for clarity here. You do the good news part and you kick everybody off, and then top tasks. But under top tasks, you ask every single person around the huddle for 3 to 5 things that their 3 to 5 top tasks. And they verbalize, they say it out loud, and it's shared on a Google Doc so everybody can see it, and so they're prepared in advance, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. And something we've missed here is, where's everybody sitting during this meeting? This is going to blow some people away. Okay, where's everybody sitting during this meeting?
Yeah, that's a really good point. I'm glad you caught that, Dom. You're not allowed to sit. You're not allowed to lean on a wall. You have to come. There has to be, it's like speed is key in this huddle. This is, you don't go into a huddle and, lounge around and on bean bags and, no. A huddle is done like it's no leaning, no sitting, stand up. It's uncomfortable, so you'll go faster. That's just the way I recommend.
Love it.
Yeah. And then so huddle sheets have to be completed in advance. Preparation is key. That's the way you'll make sure that it gets done fast. Look everyone in the eye, tighten up the circle. People aren't looking outside, checking out on their phones or, your emails or phone calls. No, just look everyone in the eye. And if you've got a guest in your office at that time, happen to be, and just like you were at that time, we brought you in. Like,
and you introduced me to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. So it said, hey, everybody, we got Dominic in the office. We're going to do our huddle, and he's going to be a part of it. And we've had lots of guests. We've had courier drivers attend them. We've had, like literally people are like, what is this organization? But
then you stand out as different than every other organization, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Good call. Okay. Sorry to interrupt you. So we have good news. We have top tasks where you go around. What's the next agenda item?
So the greeting, good news, and then top task. Greeting is important. It's easy. People just go into good news. So greeting, good news, top task, and then you quickly get into anybody if there's stuck on anything or if they need something from somebody. And this will, again, be an issue where people won't have anything. And it still happens, but you'll have to end up prodding sometimes. Or volunteer to be the first one to do it. And it's okay if someone else may not have the exact answer, but you're just like, hey man, I'm really stuck with that client that I was trying to close on,
right.
Or I'm stuck that we're not able to produce 60 boxes per day, or able to source that special color of edge banding that we were looking for. So whatever it is that they're stuck on, and someone else has to commit to help. If they don't, we parking lot that and can be recognized later. But you want to get something out that someone else says, yeah, I can help with that.
Today, I had a coaching meeting today with a client, and the stuck that came from one of the guys was that the CNC was being set so that after the cuts were made, there's an onion skin left. And it's doubling the work that a CNC is supposed to save you the time for. And so he was expressing his stuck. And it led to a little discussion, which is fine. You can have the discussions, but you need to move them off to the side. But how interesting that we have this machine, these very expensive machines that can do everything, and that the operator running the machine was just leaving it shy of cutting deep enough. And I think he just didn't want to hurt the backer board or the blade. Yeah. Use the thing, right? We need to, this is a production facility. So anyways, every company will have its different stucks or needs. And it's okay to bring those out. I'm not attacking the person. It's just the situation or the problem. Let's just get it on the table. We'll figure out a solution. No big deal. It's just another day in the company. But thankfully, we know that info. Imagine the labor that went into just fixing that little CNC setting. It's just a setting thing. Like you said, it's different for everybody, but we need to know those stocks, and we need to know the needs that people have that's holding them back from doing their job.
And, I think you touched on a really good point there, Dominic, was to not blame. Our stocks or needs are never done from the standpoint of blame. They're always done from the standpoint of, they're very constructive. They're done from the perspective of, I need help. I'm stuck because whatever it is. You're never blaming one person. You're putting it out as an open need or a stuck point. And you'll get to a point where just people will stop seeing, even if someone were to accidentally say it in those words, people will stop seeing it that way, hopefully, because it's not supposed to be that. It's supposed to be a moment to be grateful for.
Perfect. I'll stop interrupting.
So we've got stuck or need points out of the way, and then you get into appreciation. and recognition. And this is uncomfortable for people to do in open. If you were to ask them, like, hey, do you have somebody else you want to thank? It's like, I don't know. So that's why what we do is we use these sheets of paper, small sheets of paper that we
so it's anonymous
during the huddle, and it's totally anonymous. You write the name down of the person, and we chose to have a core value attached to it because we find it's a good way to remind people that we have core values. But some people don't have core values in an organization, so they can just, in that case, they can just write the name of the company, name of the person down, and whatever they thought was a quick blurb about why they thought they wanted to thank that person.
Right.
And we fold it up, you put it in a fishbowl, and whoever won it last time picks one piece of paper up, and out of the people that are doing it, one person's name comes out, and everyone's like, yay, when we celebrate with a clap or applause, basically recognizing that person. And whoever is handwriting, whoever wrote that, it could be multiple people that wrote that name in different pieces of paper, but whoever's name came out now actually speaks out and says, well, I want to thank Dominic because he took the opportunity to blah, 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 blah. Right. So
interesting. I can see how you use that to reinforce and establish the culture. And you have a strong culture there. Everybody's happy. There's numbers on the board. All the numbers were pointing in the right direction, which is up and to the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's actually a good point. One part that we didn't talk about in this huddle is we report on our results as well. So that's only once a week. So on our second huddle, the one we do on Friday, is actually a longer huddle. So the reason the huddle itself is only still 15 minutes or under, but the remaining 15 minutes, we add what we call an update on the key performance indicators. So that may be a different podcast. I'm not going to go into the long version of that one today, but that's something to add on is recognition of where the company's at for everybody, not just for your salespeople, not just for your senior management, but even your warehouse guys knows what you're doing and how you're doing financially and all of those things. And I know there's people who are feeling uncomfortable with that, but we'll talk about that's a different podcast.
Maybe it is. Yeah, maybe it is. I agree with you, though. We need those numbers have to be shared somehow.
Yeah.
Because I can't fix, I don't understand the importance of fixing my part unless I realize how it's affecting your part.
Right.
Whatever that might be. If we've got a day's cash outstanding problem, with when the accountant says their thing and the warehouse person understands that particular account where we still haven't collected on has a problem. When they see that order come through, they should look at it and go, oh, okay, I remember hearing about this one. I better make sure this one gets out right away. Or they might say, hey, were we supposed to send this order? Because I understand that company hasn't paid their outstanding whatever, whether it's a change order or PO. Those are the loops that we as owners actually want. So there's a big benefit to us in sharing that kind of info if it's shared the right way.
The other big thing Dominic does, though, I agree with all those points, but one thing I'll add is that they also bring a culture of ownership. When people, it's like when you're driving your car. Imagine it didn't have an odometer. You'll just keep going. You have no idea what you're doing. But when you've got an odometer in the car, or a speedometer, I should say, you can see what speed you're going at, but not just you. Other people in the car can see it too. And your daughter from the back's like, Dad, you're doing 30 over the speed limit, right? And even though she's not on the driving seat, she can still influence it, right? She can influence your speed.
Yeah.
So that's a good point as well. People will see things that are happening in someone else's apartment, and they'll be like, you know what? Actually, I worked somewhere else, and they did it this way, and maybe you can do it. So that's the one thing that will come out of that as well. And then when you're done recognizing, the last thing we do, and it's not for everybody, but for us it works really, really well, is we do a cheer. And that cheer is basically that's what we get from a sports huddle. Once everyone's done, it's like a high five cheer, guys, yes. And ours, specifically is like kit, let's do it.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. It's energizing, right? I mean, it's our job is to drive the culture and the energy in the organization. If you were to end that meeting with, all right, everybody, let's go. Well, everybody leaves depressed, there's not enough coffee they can get in their system.
Yeah. Yeah. Imagine on a Tuesday at 2 p.m. and you leave out super excited, pumped. And it's like, wow, that feels good. Your day just started again almost. you've got a couple hours left to finish your day. So maybe you'll be, it may be a boost of productivity at that moment again.
Yeah. Well, I think your results speak to the success and the purpose of having this huddle, because I do hear, and maybe you hear this from other people, other business owners you deal with, but look, we have too many meetings take too long, nothing gets accomplished. I get that if you're doing meetings wrong, but this meeting here is very efficient. You get through 12 people in 15 minutes. You're about to add 3 people. How much time do you think that'll add to a normal huddle?
No more than a couple minutes.
Yeah,
I don't think it'll be more than 2 or 3 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's very fast, very lightning round. And that also lends itself to the energy within the company, right? We're here to get things done. We're a company that's growing. There's momentum. It's got all sorts of positives around it. I love it.
And you want to huddle leader. Like I said, you start out with you being it, but eventually you want to delegate it to somebody. You don't want to be the one that is responsible for doing the huddle. And now it's at a point where I could be away for 2-3 weeks or not be in the office for whatever reason, or, be traveling and I can't be in that huddle for whatever reason. The huddles still happen, and there's a leader that's making sure that everyone is actually showing up and doing what they're supposed to.
I'm glad you said that. That's a really good reminder, Ankit, because as owners, we do travel sometimes, or we have meetings or conferences we've got to go to. That doesn't mean that operations shut down. Huddle must continue. It is part of what we do, and it's nice to have that other person or people who can run the huddle. I've had it a couple different ways in my companies, because I've had larger companies where not everybody was comfortable with speaking, or running the meeting, and it's not fair to put them in that position when we've got lots of other people who are happy to jump up at the front of the whiteboard and do it. And then we've also had other organizations, or I've had organizations where everybody wants to get up and talk, so we just do it in order. But I thank you for that reminder, because it is important that huddle is bigger than us. Just like, no offense, Kitply is bigger than you.
Absolutely.
Right? You've now given it that momentum and that push. And if you were not there for a month, huddle still happens, information still flows. And as long as the team keeps showing up, the company will keep running.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, let me just remind everybody, this has been an excellent interview. Thank you, Ankit. You've done a lot here. So we have the PDF of your agenda for the huddle. Thank you for sharing that. I'll have it in the show notes here in the podcast. You'll be able to download it off the website. If anybody wants to get in touch with you at Kitply, how do they do that?
They can contact you, and then you can refer them to me. I'm just kidding. And they can contact me directly, please. They can email me. My email is my first name, Ankit, ANKIT, at Kitply, KITPLY.ca. Yes, we're based in Canada, so kitply.ca. Or they can also call me if they wanted to. I won't give my direct cell phone here, but our office line is 1-877-7-KITPLY, 1-877-7-KITPLY. And I'm absolutely very grateful to be able to do this for your viewers, Dominic. Thank you for thinking about me.
Yeah, absolutely. I wonder if now's a good time for me to share a secret with everybody.
As long as it involves you keeping your clothes on, then I'm okay with that.
Oh, geez. That took a turn. So for everybody listening or watching, I'd like to let you know that I've asked Ankit to join in the podcast as a special feature. I was so impressed with the way you're running things there. I thought that you could do something I've wanted to do for our community for a long time. And so what you're going to be doing is taking success quotes that we'd all recognize from anywhere around the world. Like you might take a Jim Rohn quote or a famous football quote, and you're going to do a little piece that we're going to add into podcasts going forward on taking that success quote and looking at it through a woodworker's lens.
I love it. I'm really excited. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think that's a great idea, Dominic.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having that just additional value that we can give back to the community, because we need it. And I always remind and I got this from another company that's in our industry, is that the stuff we make is the first thing people see when they wake up and the last thing they see when they go to bed. Mm-hmm. It's kind of nice, isn't it?
Yeah, I have a real passion for woodworking, and I absolutely agree with that, Dominic. It just, now I can't ever not see it obviously because we've got our, wood-colored glasses, wood stained glasses that we have, that we walk around with all the time now. Yeah. But I do think that our products literally are everywhere, from their beds to our cabinetry to our
to their kitchens, to their RVs, to their boats, to their yachts, to their everywhere.
Every schools, and it's just, I'm amazed by the quality work that our industry spits out, and I have a real passion to support them and help them grow and stay competitive in the long term as 3D printing and all these other crazy technologies come around and try to challenge our craft. But I do think that there's a need for us in the long term too.
Perfect. I agree. Well, Ankit, thank you so much for joining us today as a guest. I really appreciate having you here, and everybody listening, thank you for taking the time. We do appreciate it. I know you're busy. You've got bids, you've got accounts receivable, you've got guys that didn't show up today, you've got lots of things going on in your life, and yet you took a few minutes to get educated a little bit, gain some new perspective on how to run your business faster, better, smarter, stronger. So I thank you for doing that and joining us. Have a great day, everybody. Thanks again. And Ankit, thank you as well for joining us. Have a great one.
Thanks. Ciao.
Okay, ciao. Bye-bye.